Hi, I'm Will, and this is Josh, and we both have very diverse backgrounds. Mine is in technology and nonprofit management, whereas Josh has a legal background, so we're both career switchers. We're both pivoting to go into marketing and wanted to speak today to those experiences and how the transition has been. So Josh, I know you have a background in law, so it's a pretty dramatic shift for you to leave that career and come back to business school. Can you talk to me a little bit about that transition?
Yeah, well, a lot went into it, right? The process of figuring out whether business school was right for me took probably about 2 years with studying for the GMAT, et cetera. But, really what it was for me was law was very challenging. It was very interesting, but at one point during my career, it kind of became a little bit routine. And, you work so much in your professional career, you owe it to yourself to find something that really challenges you, really gets you excited to get up every morning and go to work. And so as soon as I realized that, that was when it started the process of figuring out what to do, what can I do to change that? And it became clear relatively quickly after a number of informational interviews that I got to go back to school to get my MBA to springboard me into a career that would, give me that exciting feeling inside every morning when I get up and go to work.
Absolutely.
So, I'm curious as to what your experience was. What went into your thought process?
Sure, yeah. So my background, unlike yours, is pretty varied in experiences across different industries and geographies even. So I spent a couple years overseas, and I've worked in technology and in the nonprofit sector, and really was kind of a jack of all trades. Had gained a lot of diverse skills, but I wanted to come back to school to kind of focus a bit more and really pivot into marketing and brand management. So I knew that taking 2 years off to really focus on building out a comprehensive and focused skill set would allow me to do that, to pivot. So that was really what led me to back to business school.
Now, the big question is, though, were you nervous about leaving your career?
Absolutely, yeah, undoubtedly. I mean, it's a big sacrifice in a lot of ways, right? Taking 2 years off and a lot of time and money invested. But I knew that, especially coming to a program like Wisconsin, you have a really high ROI, right? So we, have very, very predictable and certain outcomes out of this program, and I knew that I would acquire the skills, the network, and the eventual job that I was hoping to get, and so that kind of helped settle some of those doubts and fears.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I echo that. I was actually really nervous making the change as well. I mean, I was nervous going through the whole process, right, of figuring out whether going back to business school was right for me. On top of leaving a very, a lucrative career, a very comfortable career. The financial piece of it was certainly a big concern. I am married, and my wife, she has a great job, but we would be losing half of our outcome. So that was something that I certainly had to consider. And really what it was is it was something that we both had to consider. I had to consider just with my wife to make sure that she was on board with it. She was. She knew that that there was more for me out there in my professional career, and she, in order for us to have a kind of a happy, cohesive life together, she really saw the value in me going back to school to get my MBA, to get that career that's going to just make me a better person, a more enjoyable person to be around, if
absolutely.
You will. But yeah, there are a lot of nerves that go into it with leaving behind kind of a comfortable career. I'm sure you felt that too. I think one of the interesting things I wanted to mention was, once I made the decision to go back to school, I was still at work, and I had told a few people, and rumors spread really quickly in an office.
They do.
But there were a number of very highly regarded attorneys that came into my office and would close the door behind them and ask if it was true that I was leaving the firm to go back to school. They would congratulate me on it being admitted to UW-Madison because they knew the reputation that it had in producing great business leaders. And almost all of them said, I wish I would have done that, 10 or 15 years ago. So that right there for me was kind of confirmation, kind of the icing on the cake, right? To knowing that I'm doing the right thing that I felt in my gut.
Definitely.
So, you had mentioned international experience. Is that something that you're looking to do going forward, or did you have an experience through the program doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Wisconsin program really allows for international exposure to both with the businesses that come on campus. A lot of them are multinational corporations, and they have businesses all over the world. But we also have a lot of global trip offerings. So over both of the winter breaks, actually, last year we went to Spain. Some of my classmates went to Norway, to India, and this year there are trips to Peru, China, and Vietnam, I believe. So just a good amount of exposure and global opportunities while you're in the program. And like I said, a lot of the companies that recruit here are multinational, and so that's certainly an aspiration of mine going forward, is to be able to get myself to a position to eventually get some further international experience, hopefully in a regional management position. So
sure. One thing I'm curious about is now that you're here and you're in your second year, you're actually kind of finishing up. We're both finishing up our time here in the program. Was it worth it? Was it worth leaving behind your former career for this new kind of career in brand management, general management?
Absolutely. I'll be going back to General Mills, and really excited about what that holds. Just in terms of the scope of the career, I think it's very much a general management position. So I'll be overseeing a business unit and an entire team, and so for me that was a big motivation, is just to kind of take that next step. It's obviously going to put me in a position to, I'll be compensated much more than I was, and so in terms of my career earnings as well, feel pretty good about the decision. But more importantly, I think I would really reflect on the last 2 years of learning and of experiences and friendships. So I think one of the values of an MBA is really the network, right? And so at Wisconsin, we've spent a couple years now building out those really impactful and lifelong friendships with staff, faculty, and classmates. And so for me, that's almost the biggest value of coming back to school.
I wholeheartedly agree. Now that we're kind of rounding out our time in the program, I couldn't be more happy with what I've done here, what I've achieved here. The transition from attorney to marketer happened so quickly for me. I was able to go to SC Johnson for my internship this past summer, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I really feel like I knocked it out of the park with my project. I'm very proud of what I accomplished while I was there. Got an offer to go back, and I'm going to accept that offer. Awesome. to join SCJ next summer. And I feel like I'm so prepared to be successful at that job. I'm not nervous about that transition going forward because of all of the things that I've learned here in the program. Because of all the support that I've had through the Center for Brand and Product Management and from my classmates. I'm just really excited about the future. My wife and I were heading back to Milwaukee. That's kind of where we met there. We've lived there for the past 10 years. And we're really excited about it. And it's thanks to the program for providing me with the opportunity and providing me with the knowledge that I need in order to do what it is I wanted to do afterwards. So it really kind of came full circle.